Hello and welcome to Mastering the Basics of Pandas Part 2. And in this video, we're going to pick up where we left off on Part 1. In Part 1, we talked through the data series, the data frame. We created our data frame, then we started to kind of do, we looked at null values and how to get rid of null values out of our data frame. So let's jump back into our Jupyter notebook and take a look here. Let's create the same data frame that we had last time, and this notebook is also on GitHub, on my GitHub account. You can go to type my name, Jules Caruso. I'll also post the GitHub video, or the GitHub link in the description on this video, and you can check it out there. But if you just want to write this out, you can feel free to type this out here. And what we're creating is 100 record, or that's 10, 20, 30, 40 records of 10 rows and 4 columns of just some random data. And we use the NumPy package to do that, and we're kind of intermixing Pandas and NumPy together to get this data frame. And so we went through some code on the last video, not null, and you're probably not going to want to do this if you have a very large data set, but it's just there are a lot of ways to look for null values in your data frame, and this is just kind of a fun one to look at. It's going to return a Boolean result, and if there were any null values, it would return false. Here you could do a number of things. Is null is another one. You can type is null. Everything's going to return false there, because we're asking, is the value null? And none of these values are null. So another, what we wanted to do when we did last time was we imputed a null value into column C, row 30. And so let's run that cell there. And that just does it behind the scenes for us. We didn't ask it to print anything out. It does not. And so if we asked to print data frame, it would give us this data frame back, and with a NaN, if you remember from the last video, which stands for not a number, not a value. And now we can run a little data understanding, data cleaning technique. So check if the data frame is null. What are the mean of the columns? And so that's going to return you a percent. So you have to look at, you're asking for a mean, and we're timing that by 100. So we're looking at the percentage of columns that are null, that with null values. So we imputed a null value in column C, and we're getting back, and there are 10 values, and one of which is null in column C. So 10% of the column C values are null, and all the rest are 0. So kind of a refresh from the last video. I showed you how to drop NA as a really popular technique. We want to drop any null values. We're taking the axis. This is the rows axis, which is 0. If columns would be 1. So if we wanted to drop the entire C column, we would just put 1 there, and then how we're defining any. And then we're going to print that new data frame, and as we saw last time, that 30, row 30, is no longer in the data frame. So let's pick up there, and let's start coding along again. And just to show you, to bring back our other data set, I'm going to show you one more way how to drop data, because this is something that you're going to want to learn how to do, and you're definitely going to do when you're working with real life data, is drop NA axis equals, we still want to do the row. Thresh is a great argument. So if you're looking at data and you say there are a lot of null values and we just can't drop all the null values in the data set, but if there are more than X amount, if there are more than X amount of items that are not null, our threshold is you need 4 regular values. You need 4 values to not be null, and then that's where the thresh comes in. So thresh we want to say equals 4. So we're looking along we're going to drop all the nulls. We're going to drop all the null values in the rows with the threshold of 4. So if there are less than 4 items in the data set that are null in any given row, we're going to drop that. And so what it prints out here again is it drops that 30 because that row 30 only had 3 the threshold. It did not meet the threshold because there were only 3 elements in there that were not null. So that's a really cool and really useful technique for dropping data in your data set. Now I want to show you, we can perform calculations across columns, across rows very easily, and we can perform pretty complex ones. Let's get the mean of all of our rows. So let's get our new data set, and we can actually do either or now because both DataFrame and new DataFrame are the same one. We've dropped the row 30 in both. And let's get along the columns there. So we're looking to get all of our means, all of the averages from each column. So it's going to go down each, add these all up, and then divide it by the number of rows we have. I'm going to divide by the number of rows we have there. And really cool and interesting ways to just perform calculations on your data across your entire data frame. And we could do the same thing for the rows. So df.mean, and we could do access equals 1. Oh, access equals 1. And so it's going to calculate across. If the calculation is going to come down the rows, and we're going to print out all the columns there. So pretty cool and pretty easy to do your calculations. If we want to create new columns, we want to create calculated columns, that's also very easy to do. So we just have to name the data frame. So we'll take the new data frame, and then we want to name what our new column is. So say that's all our data frame is a bunch of sales data. We want to get the total of that sales data. And what that's going to be equal to, we're going to name that column total, and that total column is going to be equal to that data frame, and we're going to sum all of the we're going to sum the columns, and we're just going to name that access. Remember, columns access XIX equals 1, and it's telling us, since we dropped that 30, it's going to tell us, hey, just a reminder. Yeah, we're trying to get a set up on a copy of a slice from DataFrame. I guess it's trying to do the calculation on that 30. We don't care. It's just a warning. There's documentation here that we can go and look for that stuff, but we don't care. Thanks for the warning, Jupyter Notebook. We don't really care. All we really want to see is this calculation. So let's print that new df, and look, we have our new total column here. So we have our ABCD column. Now we have our new total column here. That 30 is no longer, that row 30 is not there because we dropped that. And now we have a new calculated field, new calculated column. Really cool. And we can continue to do this. We could perform any mathematical operations here. We could add new columns. It's really cool stuff. I hope this part 2 series is really helpful. In part 3, we're actually gonna bring in some real data and get to working and manipulating with some real life data. So I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.